Welcome to a new edition of Win TV. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, bringing you news that matters. Again, boy, if you're watching us on Facebook, go ahead and hit share so your friends can see the broadcast. And if you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us. And if you are a TikTok user, follow us there as well. We want to catch you and kind of be with you in every place where you are and make sure that we can connect to all of your friends and associates and what have you on all of those channels. And especially, we want you to subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. I hope you picked up your latest copy of the Washington Informer. Bam, bam, always like to show this. You can also read the paper online at washingtoninformer.com. And so you want to make sure that you do get a chance to see that. I want to say before we get into the show, right before getting on the air, I got the sad news that we lost actor Sidney Poitier. I grew up with Sidney Poitier, and I think many of you all did, and you know all of his great movies. He was just really, really a phenomenal actor. I don't recall, and I should, and we haven't had a chance to put it all together, some of the great awards that he's won over the years for his acting. I think, I don't even want to make up stuff, but I will say, read this week's, go to Washington Informer website. A story has been posted there by Stacey Brown. And so we do have an update on the loss of Sidney Poitier, and we will keep him and his family in our prayers. And hopefully, maybe we can binge this weekend on some of those Sidney Poitier movies, because they are phenomenal. And he was a really, really phenomenal actor that opened the doors for so many, particularly Black actors in Hollywood. So again, keeping him and his family in our prayers. I want to also say, before we get to our news broadcast, that Ward 8 is now about to have, Lidl is coming into Ward 7. The Lidl grocery store will be opening. They'll have their grand opening tomorrow at the Skyland Shopping Center, right off of Good Hope Road in Ward 7. And you all know that they're going to have one of the first drive-through Starbucks in the nation. I think it is the first drive-through Starbucks. No, it's not? No, it's one in Bowie. Oh, it's one in Bowie? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Chevry. Okay, so there's probably others. It will be the first in the District of Columbia. Let's put it that way. I want to get my facts straight. Skyland is really developing. It was a vision of the Ward 7 council member and former mayor who has been working really hard, Vince Gray, to make sure that, the area is developed. It's a benefit to Ward 8 as well. And, we're going to do a show coming soon with the expansion of the Ward 8 area, now that redistricting has taken place in Ward 8 in Washington, D.C., and expanded now across the South Capitol Street Bridge. So it includes now 2 other grocery stores, because Ward 8 has historically been known as a food desert, or where some have used the term food apartheid. But now we can fortunately say that there are more grocery stores. Now, are they all accessible? That's a whole nother conversation, and that's one that we hope to have here on Win TV in the coming weeks. And speaking about, I can't make a segue because there's no segue to snow. It is winter. And so, which started the 21st or something of December. So, we got a snowstorm the other day. We got snow last night. Who knows when we're going to have more, because we haven't had a lot of snow in DC in the last couple of years. And so for those of you who love snow, I'm sure you're enjoying it. Those of you who love snow but don't like sitting in your cars for 36 hours on a major freeway or a major highway, I know that you are through. Because that is what happened, as we all know, on 95 when the snowstorm started on Monday. And, it's sad that those folks were out there, but we're glad to know that just about everybody did make it home safely, and it's all good. We had snow last night. Fortunately, it's nothing more than a little dusting, and we'll probably have more this season. So that's a good thing for all of us. So anyway, today, why did I say that's a good thing? I'm talking too fast. I don't know if you all like snow, but for those who do, it's a good thing. So today, Dr. V, who is an emergency medical physician, will be with us to answer our questions about the COVID-19 Omicron variant. We want to talk a lot about that. I mean, we've got so much information that is beginning to confuse a lot of us, particularly as it relates to how we carry on our day-to-day lives. We're also going to talk to Ward 6 ANC Commissioner Andy Litsky about his experience during last year's insurrection on January 6th, the anniversary of which was observed yesterday here in Washington, D.C. and around the country, but particularly here at the nation's capital. And Commissioner Litsky was really sort of in the eye of the storm when that happened. So we look forward to talking to him. And also, photojournalist Shedrick Pelt will join us to talk about his January 6th exhibit, Attacks on Democracy, and his experience providing coverage during the insurrection, and along with Washington Informer editor Kevin McNair. So we're going to talk about how the Black press covered the insurrection and also just the impact on DC. Everybody looks at DC and thinks it is a national city, but residents here have an experience that often is overlooked. So we're so glad that Mr. Andy's here. Litsky is here to talk to us about that. And hey, it's the new year. We're talking about, our New Year's resolutions, and just about everybody is concerned about health and fitness. And so we are excited to have Clarence Duhart, owner of CD Fit, who's going to be with us to encourage us to maintain an exercise program. And if you haven't started one, I think he's going to give us some tips on how to get started. And we're glad to have him. So before we talk to our first guest, let's take a look at this week's news broadcast from our broadcast journalist, Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. The Washington football team will finally be receiving a new team name. Nearly 2 years after ridding itself of the Redskins moniker and going nameless, the team told NBC's Today Show on Tuesday that it would be revealing a new name. The franchise announced that it would no longer be called the Redskins after decades of being criticized because many considered the moniker a racial slur. The team will be revealing its new name and logo on February 2nd. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan declared on Tuesday a 30-day state of emergency in an attempt to stem the tide of surging coronavirus cases in the state. The executive order gives Health Secretary Dennis Schrader broad operating powers to assist with staff shortages at both nursing homes and hospitals. These powers include authorizing nursing graduates to provide services and allowing healthcare practitioners to practice and conduct tasks outside of their scope of licenses. The governor will also be mobilizing 1,000 members of the Maryland National Guard to assist at 2 new state-managed COVID-19 testing sites in both Anne Arundel and Hartford counties. The Postal Service is seeking a temporary exemption from President Biden's vaccine mandate, arguing a waiver would prevent major disruptions to mail delivery. The request comes just days before Biden's administration's rule is slated to take effect. Deputy Postmaster General Douglas Tolino wrote in a January 4th letter to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration that requiring Postal Service workers to comply with the new rules would, quote, likely result in the loss of many employees, either by employees leaving or from being disciplined. Today marks the anniversary of the notorious Capitol riots. For those unaware, Trump supporters amassed at the steps of the Capitol on January 6, 2021, protesting what they believe was the unjust loss of former President Trump to Biden. The riots eventually turned violent as many stormed inside the Capitol, attempting to make it to the voting chambers. President Biden is addressing the nation today, with sources saying that he plans to place the responsibility of the events solely on Trump, as well as for pushing for voting rights bills. This is Curtis Knowles with WIN TV News.
Hey, thank you so much for Curtis, and thank you all who are watching us right now. I just got a little shout out from my mom. Glad to have you here. She's wished everybody at WIN TV and the Washington Informer a Happy New Year. So glad to have you. And I think it was Theron Interiors. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I still owe you a visit to your location, and so don't be surprised. I may show up one day soon. Looking forward to it. I want to bring on now Dr. V, who's with us. Dr. V, there
Hi,
you are.
how are you?
I'm good. We've been
Good.
sitting at the edge of our seats for the last month, hoping to get you back on because so much has been happening. So
Yes.
I don't even. I just want you to start off by telling us, what's happening with this Omicron, and what
Yeah.
does it look like?
So let me tell you, when these things start, we started with an epidemic in China, localized, right? Then you go to a pandemic, which is, worldwide. And then the next stage of this is an endemic, where everybody gets it and we actually learn to live with it. And that's where we're having to transition to now. And that's what we're sort of looking at now. We're now, up over 1 million cases a day. And so, I tell people you just have to kind of decide. It's like, okay, I'm going to be in a car accident. Am I going to have a seatbelt and an airbag and drive slowly? Or am I going to have no seatbelt, no airbag, and going 100 miles per hour, right? So the main thing right now is for everybody to get vaccinated, which is the most obvious thing, and also get the booster. It used to be that you needed to wait 6 months. They're now saying 5 months. So, if you're even close to 5 months, I would suggest that anybody in your audience actually get vaccinated. The other thing that's really important is to upgrade your mask. And I brought a couple props because I see a lot of people walking around with these masks on, right? And these are like 34% effective.
Mm,
And you need to upgrade to these masks, which is the KN95. They usually come in white and black. And these are like 95% effective. And if there's any store owners that feels like they want to carry these or can't get them or can't figure out where to get them, I can send them to where to get them, because we need to get these in our communities. They're about $1.50. You can get 7, one for each day of the week. Hang it up after Monday, hang the Monday one after Monday is over, hang the Tuesday one after Tuesdays, and circle back around to it. And 7 masks will last you for a couple months. So it's about a $10 investment, and get rid of these. Just throw these things away, because this is not going to work.
I appreciate that, because I actually, Dr. V, I'm sitting right here, right, with one of these. I do this right now. As of this week, I've been doubling up. But no, that's good to know. This is the first time
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah. No, these masks are the ones that are actually the ones. I actually, when we had a short supply, I bought these myself, and I
Okay.
used these when I saw COVID patients. I would never use this when I saw COVID patients, right?
Okay.
And
Maybe
I've
paint a
never
wall, but
become I've never become COVID positive. So I tell people, upgrade your mask game. That's the main thing, right?
and
And if
before
you
the
want,
show, you were saying to me that you just felt as though, you had some, and I don't know if it's evidence-based or what, that these masks are harder to find in Black neighborhoods. Is that what you
yeah,
were?
they're very. I've noticed that, when I go into Black neighborhoods, I cannot seem to find the better mask.
Hmm.
I bought these in DC. I bought these in Ward 1 or 2,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So just to kind of right off of MacArthur Boulevard,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
My friends who live over in Capitol Hill, I've been getting them from MacArthur Boulevard and giving them over there to Capitol Hill. So, it's not. I'm just seeing there's certain pockets. These ought to be all over the place.
Right.
Honestly, the city should probably, just like they used to send everybody tulip bulbs in the spring, send everybody a KN95 mask. Send
It would
everybody
be
a
nice,
nurse.
because I understand that they're getting ready to do a massive distribution of the test kits, and it
Right.
seems like maybe they could stick the mask in those test kits.
Stick the better mask in the
Right.
test kits, and it would
Mm-hmm.
really, really make a really big difference. So that would be the first thing I would say to people. The second thing is, if you don't have to get on a plane or train, I have a cruise coming up on the 14th. I'm trying to get my money back. So if you don't have to go somewhere, just don't go. Right? This is not the time. Wait till the springtime. Wait till we kind of pass through this. But Omicron is not going to be the last variant. We're gonna have other variants after this, and we're gonna have to really be prepared to have this stuff in our homes and ready, because we're gonna have to live with this for a little while.
I had a very interesting conversation with someone last night. I'm still trying to get over it because I kind of took it personally. But
Mhm.
this is someone who is still does not believe in the vaccines. And I know everybody has their own choice. This person believes they have had COVID,
Mhm.
and they believe they have the antibodies, and they don't believe that because even with the vaccine, you can still get COVID. You know, how do you talk? How do you address someone? And there are lots of people. Like we said, there's Prince George's County has an issue where I understand only maybe 30% of the population there has gotten vaccinated. So there are lots and lots of people out there that don't believe in this vaccine.
Yeah, so this is a couple of things. One is I tell people, if you're in an elected position, you're in a leadership position, and you're considering whether or not to enact a mandate, enact the mandate. Mandates work. Mayo Clinic enacted a mandate. They only lost 1% of their employees. Everybody else basically got over all their conversations and went and got vaccinated. So I would say for anybody who's considering, should I do a mandate? Should I not do a mandate? You know, that is, we're going to see a lot more mandates. And I think it's just going to be required for people to actually get over this. The other thing is that I think people think when you actually get the infection, you get immunity specifically for whatever variant you got. That doesn't protect you from the next variant. So I am already seeing patients who had Delta and who now are coming in with Omicron, being hospitalized. Now, when you actually get the vaccine, you're actually vaccinated against a broader group because they actually are studying the molecule and they know all the pieces of the molecule. So you're actually getting vaccinated against a broader group. The other thing that I think that we will see fairly soon is I believe that these insurance companies are going to stop paying for COVID hospitalizations if you are not vaccinated. If you choose not to get vaccinated, and you get hospitalized, then you're going to have to pay the $1 million bill. And in places like Florida, in some states, you can't even make medical bills a part of a bankruptcy, right? You're stuck with them for life. So I tell people who don't want to get vaccinated, you need to think really, really hard and long about this because it's a tough road to hoe. It's really, just like I said, going into a car accident. You're going to go into a car accident after a car accident after a car accident. Eventually, you're either going to get enough or die or be disabled. We have over 15 million Americans currently disabled from COVID-19. That's 5% of our population.
And when you say disabled, what do you mean?
Not able to walk, not able to go back to work, not able to care for themselves.
Interesting. And you mentioned early on about the endemic. What defines that? When will we be at that phase?
Well, I mean, that's kind of, I personally think we're kind of there already, which is why I think the CDC came out with the 5 days rather than 10 days. I see them backing off some of their mitigation measures, like, if you go to work and, you're spewing a little COVID, it's okay. So those signals tell me that we're there already. And so I think that we'll have to see what happens with Omicron come the spring. We right now are seeing about 1,500 deaths a day. We're going to be up to probably about 3,000 deaths a day in a matter of about a month. So I think we're either there or we're a couple months away. So that's why it's very important for people to, you just want to look at how can I get myself and my family and my community most protected from this.
And the last thing I wanted to venture into was the what are they calling it now? The flu, the combination of flu and COVID that many of you all in the medical profession are beginning to see the dual. Exactly.
Yes.
And that it feels the same, but you all can determine that it's a combination. Talk about how that happens.
Yeah. So, well, let me just say this. We can when we have the correct testing kits. So we're running out of testing kits, just like everybody else is running out of testing kits. We're running out of testing kits as well. We're having to ration testing kits. We're having to ration monoclonal antibodies. So we're having to ration a lot of things as well. But there is a testing kit that what we call a quadplex, and it actually tests for 4 respiratory viruses. And COVID and influenza are 2 of the 4. And so when we test for that, then it'll come back positive for 2 of the 4. So we're able to tell that someone has both. So that's why they're calling it a twindemic, because we are seeing patients now sometimes that have both, and we're also seeing regular flu patients without COVID-19, right? Without Omicron. So, and I would also just want to say real quickly, people say this is a milder disease. This is a different disease. Not as much respiratory, but I'm seeing a lot of neurologic symptoms. People getting confused, don't know where they are, almost stroke-like symptoms, renal failure. So whereas Delta was predominantly respiratory, Omicron is infecting more systems and having a different constellation of symptoms, but just as serious, really.
Wow. So, I mean, we're not at the end of the road yet.
No.
We're seeing, just like you said, the numbers are still spiking. And so I don't think your message has changed, but what do we do again to protect ourselves from
Right.
COVID?
Upgrade your mask. Get your KN95. Upgrade your mask immediately. You want this to be one of the first things you do. And wear it all the time when you're indoors. If you're not vaccinated, you want to make sure you get vaccinated. You want to avoid any sort of indoor activities, get takeout, don't fly around, wash your hands. I'm also recommending that kids stay home from school and do online learning until this subsides, unless they've had a booster. And most children are not vaccinated, let alone have a booster. If your child has a booster, that's fine. But without full vaccination plus a booster, I would actually do online learning to be able to get that.
It's too early to do this now, Dr. V, but one day I want us to have a conversation where we look through the rear view mirror and are able to say, kind of what we did right and what we did wrong, and prepare for the next, because we know there's another coming, whether it's COVID or anything else. Viruses are with us. And so I'm hoping that as a community, as a nation, as a world, that we're learning something from these experiences. And maybe we are going to end up being like Japan, where, masks are just going to be in our lifetimes, a permanent part of our outdoor attire. I don't know, but, some people are a little ahead. Some of us are playing catch up, but it would be interesting to kind of look back and see how we could have, or what we need to do to be better prepared moving forward.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us again.
You're
Happy
welcome.
New Year to you. I didn't get a chance to tell you that.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you all, and everybody out there. Stay safe.
All right. Thanks much. All righty. So, yeah, I mean, I know that there's some folks out there that just don't want to do this vaccine thing. So, we can't convince you, but we can only encourage you to make sure that you keep yourself safe. We don't want to lose people because we've lost too many already. We're going to go now. We're going to go now to our video. We have Prince George's writer. This is what happens when the host and the producer are not on the same page.
I wanted to skip it.
But what we'll do is we're going to go on now and talk to our Ward 6 Commissioner, Andy Litsky, to talk about what happened on this insurrection day, and how your community, Andy, has addressed this over the past year. Welcome to WIN TV.
Thank you, Denise. I'm glad you invited me to appear.
Yeah. So first of all, tell people, when I say Ward 6 and I talk about your commission or commission area, describe where that is in relationship to the Capitol.
Sure. Everybody knows where the Capitol is. My community and my ANC is directly south of the Capitol. My ANC is south of the mall on the west side of South Capitol Street and south of the expressway over in the Navy Yard on the east side of South Capitol Street. So we are actually just on the periphery of the Capitol itself. On January 6th, I was sitting at my desk doing work and preparing to watch the tally of the electoral votes in the Congress. And I knew that there was a rally over on the Ellipse, and was prepared for the march. Interestingly, when the leaves are on the trees on 4th Street, you have a straight shot, an audio shot from what's happening on any march going over to the Capitol. You hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my desk over by a glass wall, and I could hear, I said, they mean business. They're on the way. And I didn't bother to open up the window, but I did turn on the TV at that point. And the cameras were trained on Independence and Independence Avenue, where they were marching across the mall toward the Capitol. And folks had a head of steam, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I did not watch the rally. It was the last thing I wanted to do. I didn't care what the president had to say to his folks, but apparently he got them a bit riled up, as did other folks who had spoken on that day. My approach toward this is that, you had mentioned that those of us who live in Washington don't realize that the folks outside of Washington don't have our same experience.
Right.
We live with the Capitol every day. I have neighbors and friends who work there. Their staff, they're maintenance folks, they're painters. There are some even congressmen who live in the neighborhood, and they're there every day. And so these are our friends and neighbors who work here. We drive past the Capitol all the time, and sometimes we lose sight of exactly what that building means and what happens in the Capitol. They make the laws that govern the manner in which we live. When the walls were breached that day, I mean, I felt as though I had a stab in my chest. It was most difficult for me, maybe a little bit more than most. Up until they first started to build buildings here in Southwest, I had a straight visual shot out of my bedroom window to the Capitol Dome. So that was part of my daily life. I got up to see the Capitol. I went to bed looking at the Capitol Dome as well. And so the fact that they were doing something to impact the activities in a building that I felt was partly my own, as it is for all of us, it took a very bad turn.
One of the things I want to know, Andy, because I mean, it's one thing to be able to see, but you are very close, and I don't think people outside of the district know how uncomfortable people in the district were, because you have all those people that didn't come in just for that. They've been here, and a lot of them may still be here. Did you feel any kind of way about your personal safety or the safety of your those that lived in your neighborhood, knowing that these folks were still around?
I think we all knew that there were plans for this rally, that there were folks who were very concerned about the election and the results of the election, which were clear to most of us, but to others who believe what is now called, the big lie, if you will. They were displeased with the result. There are some folks who, when they don't like the result of something, seek to overturn the apple cart.
Mm-hmm.
I like to make a pie. You can't make a pie if you overturn the apple cart. All you got is applesauce. And there are a lot of folks making applesauce that day and in the weeks leading up to the insurrection. It was difficult for me, but our folks were concerned about the area because we live. I don't think anybody expected that folks were going to come into our neighborhoods, armed with various things. But we have a business improvement district, and our ambassadors, the workers of the Southwest Business Improvement District, the Southwest BID, were out being ambassadors, as they are, welcoming the demonstrators, as they welcome all demonstrators who walk past along the mall. And they had a distinctly different feel for when the folks were headed over from the hotels located in our area over to the Ellipse, to what happened when they returned from the Ellipse to go to the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
They had a head of steam. And it was when I had heard that it concerned me. And I didn't feel as though our neighborhood was going to be invaded, but I did fear for what might occur at the Capitol. And
There,
indeed, it took place.
yeah, there's, I mean, we spent yesterday, January 6th, sort of observing that day, and that we'll probably do that forever, just as we did 9/11 and so many other occasions that mark or change the history in this country. But in the community, was there anything that happened in your area that you all did to observe that? Did you anything that you all did?
I not to observe the event yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I did not go up to the Capitol. I knew that there was going to be a candlelight vigil, that it was going to be hosted by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer on the steps of the west front of the Capitol, and I was content to watch that on television, not for fear of anything that might occur. Simply, I just wanted that to be as solemn an event as could take place. I did, however, the day after the insurrection, go up to the mall because I just wanted to see that this building was still standing,
Mm-hmm.
and the troops were out and the Jersey barriers were out, but I wanted to see this because I knew that there would be more barriers that would be put in place, and I wanted to see it before it was completely sealed off. Remember, this is just 2 weeks before Joe Biden was sworn in as president. So I went up there, and CNN and MSNBC were up there doing stand up, and I walked up with a neighbor, and we checked it out and walked home. No sooner did we get home than they were doing live shots on Channel 4, I recall, of them putting up additional fencing. And from then on, for the next 6 months, our house of government was sealed off from the public. This is unusual, to say the least. This doesn't happen here. It happens in Paraguay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it happens not in the United States of America. I'm kind of mindful, and always have been, of an inscription that is on the north face of the National Archives, and it's from Shakespeare, The Tempest, indeed, I think, and it says, "What is past is prologue." And I think that's meant to be instructive, not meant to absolve us of our ability to impact future events. And I think that going forward, what we have to recognize is that each of us have an opportunity in our own way to impact how our government is operating and how we operate as citizens of that government going forward. We're not all elected officials. I have limited ability to do anything. I'm an ANC commissioner. I don't
Mm-hmm.
make laws. You're a publisher. You publish what's going on in the world and tell people what's going on in the world. You don't need to be a pastor. You don't need to be a prince.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. You don't want me as a pastor.
Others that do that, right?
Others can do that, but we have the ability to get off our phones, get away from the television, talk to one another, communicate with one another, and tell the folks who are running our government how we like our government run. Because
Right.
if we don't do that, and if we don't do that on a regular basis, eventually the people who get in are going to tell us how it's going to be, and that'll be a sad state of affairs.
Well, that's a good note it's a instructive note to end on. And I want to thank you for being with us to really talk about that experience. I mean, people don't know that, you say everybody knows where the Capitol is, but there may be some folks who have not visited Washington, D.C., who don't know, the fact that we are fighting so hard for statehood. They don't understand why that we have, nearly 800,000 residents here that cannot vote on the Hill. We have a representative, but has no voting power. So, and the fact that they're residents who lived, just a block or so away from the nation's capital. So I think it's really important, and I appreciate the fact that you were here to share that story with us. And it may not be the last because you're right in the thick of things. You've seen a lot out of that window, I'm sure,
Sure.
all kinds of, because that's where everybody comes to speak to power, right? So we're so glad that you were able to join us and to share that. And we'll stay in touch and see what else is how the neighborhood maybe transforms as time goes on.
Indeed. It's good to be with you, Denise.
Likewise, Andy. Thank you. Take care. And speaking of, transformation, photographers have a way to capture events, to capture those moments. As a matter of fact, we even have a section in the Washington Informer called Capture the Moment. And Shedrick Pelt is one of those photographers who was out there on the day of the insurrection, who captured moments on that day and has shared that and is going to share that actually in an exhibit that's coming up. So we're so glad to have you on with us, Shedrick. And I think Kevin McNair is going to join us as well. I know your exhibit is called Attacks on Democracy. So as Kevin joins us, maybe you can just begin to tell us, I'll do background later, but, to talk about this exhibit and why you felt that it was important to do this.
All right, great. I appreciate you having me on, Denise, and I appreciate the Washington Informer community. My mission for, showing my work in a moment that really is changing, the landscape of the American experiences is to continue, the legacy of Black journalists, Black photojournalists, your Gordon Parks, your Carrie Mae Weems, your Alice Dunnigans, people like that who have, created, who have covered history throughout time. And I wanted to just continue that legacy and really can also continue the conversation that, we are a part of those moments and we are really underrepresented in the mass media section. I walk out into a lot of scenes where, there's 2 or 3 Black journalists that are covering it from mainstream media, even though there's a pool full of, generally white men covering events. And it's the same with music journalism. So I want this exhibition to really show that, we are out here covering this. The exhibition is going to show images from January 6th, but also show images from what Andy explained, those moments where there's 10-foot fencing up around our city for months and months on end.
Wonderful. Kevin, welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. So, I think Shedrick makes a good point. I mean, that when we were the day of the insurrection and, we're pulling our hair out and saying, we've got to cover this. We can't. And it's not so much. I think it's more because it was happening in our home, in our own backyards. And we just didn't know what that meant for the residents of Andy's ANC or other people in the District of Columbia, because these folks they came into the city, marched to the Capitol, and then went out, spread back out into the city,
Right. Yeah.
So Go ahead, Kevin. I've talked enough, but you share kind of from your perspective as an editor.
Well, this is not the first time we've had to rally the troops. I mean, I was the editor during 9/11 back in Chicago. And so we are used to these kind of situations, Klan rallies. But in this case, the Capitol insurrection, I think the most important thing for us was making sure we got the story told correctly, using the right kind of language. Just as Shedrick is a photographer, my focus is how are we transmitting this information? What kind of language are we using? Is it simple and yet is it on a complicated issue? Are we breaking it down so our people can understand and prepare themselves? In terms of that day, a year later, I'm still hearing people say, I mentioned this yesterday in our staff meeting. One Republican congressman from Texas said it wasn't an insurrection. People were ushered into the Capitol, and most didn't want to go. They just kind of got pushed in as if like a herd of cattle or something. We need to be very clear that a history and a conversation was developed prior to that event and has continued to manifest itself, and people are allowing that to be perpetrated. We got to tell the truth. The truth matters, and that's what we're trying. That's what we do at the Informer. Black Press does. That's all I can be about. Keep holding my writers accountable, telling the truth, and bombarding people if necessary. If you want to believe a false narrative, you may want to
Yeah, Kevin's freezing.
firm on it. That's all we're going to heal.
Yeah, I want to also add, as he talks about, what we did, but, Shedrick, then there's also, and, some of our photographers, Anthony Tillman and Roy Lewis, who are also out there. Anthony, as a matter of fact, was one of those that got ushered into the Capitol. And following that, we got a call from the FBI.
Wow.
Asking us if he was really a photographer. I guess they wanted to make sure, he was not one of the protesters, but actually a reporter or a photographer doing his job, working for a news organization. Were you impacted by that as well?
I'll say, and I just want to go back and touch on Kevin's point. Another reason I was out there is because documentary photography doesn't lie. When you see images from my exhibition of 5 men smashing the front door with the barricade as Capitol Police retreat back into the entryway, that doesn't lie. That tells a story of what was really happening. And Kevin is absolutely right. Different narratives can be made through how you really voice what was going on and how it's represented to the public. So it's my duty as a photojournalist to make sure that I capture moments that are really authentic to what's happening. And to your point, being there and especially as a Black journalist, I felt very unsafe being there. It was a very violent moment, even so much so that, I told myself that I was going to keep moving as to not let them zero in on me, because I was getting looked up and down as I'm going through the grounds. They were actually stepping in my path as I'm moving around. I had a respirator mask on and goggles on because I was very COVID conscious, and they were purposely coughing on me as I passed by, So I felt very unsafe in this very violent moment. And as I got closer and closer to the doors, even at one moment being right up at the door, I'm tasting, tear gas and stuff through my mask. So it was a very unsafe moment. And I was just trying to really, keep my head on a swivel the entire time.
Kevin, going back to you too. I mean, just the mere fact that, this happened. How can you share with our viewers how we observed this in this week's issue of the Informer?
So we did several things. One, from a national perspective, the Select Commission, what they're doing, the work that Nancy Pelosi and that committee are trying to do to get the real facts, who was responsible, how it all came together, and certainly ways to make sure it does not happen again. In terms of locally, James Wright did a piece just talking about, as you mentioned earlier, Denise, the whole issue of statehood. We're looking at people's rights and the right to express yourself and have a voice in government, which is part of this whole notion of insurrection, not whether, but why Trump would say he lost and why people would believe that. We're at a real precipice right now in terms of the American mental well-being, as it were. And then finally, William Ford did a piece that talked to people from Prince George's and other parts of Maryland. Again, different perspectives, because we're not a monolith. Black people don't all think the same, but we think about a lot of the same issues. We just see them differently. And I think it's important when you're kind of putting a puzzle together that you allow different pieces to come together, then let other people weigh in and say, I understand that, I don't understand that. Our job is to then continue to give information to help people form informed opinions about life and how to better live their lives safely.
No question, no question. And I think those are some great stories that we did this week, and accompanying photographs. And we are able to promote Shedrick's exhibit that's coming up. Shedrick, can you give us some details about that? When and where and how folks can actually come to see it?
Yeah, so it's going to be a show at Gallery O on 8th Street. It's going to be February 25th through March 6th. We are, like I said, it's going to show January 6th. It'll also show DC lockdown. We're going to have some artist talks that continue the conversation. And I also want to say that I want the exhibition to create the conversation that, if Black journalists are not working in mainstream media, and we're working as freelance independent artists, and it's hard to sustain any type of longevity in that field as a freelance independent person without the support of or without having the opportunity to create some stability financially with a salary and things like that, like other journalists do. So that's all going to be part of the the artist talk, and we'll have a few other Black journalists come on. We would love to have Kevin on if that's something he's interested to come and offer his in-depth experience. The exhibition will be the end of February through the beginning of March. It'll be at Gallery O on 8th Street. Our amazing partner, exhibition partner, Black Art House, which is a Black startup that supports Black artists and gets Black artists paid, which is very important. They'll be partnering with us on the event. And I'm just super excited to get, when you create work, you want to show your work,
Yes.
So that's a huge part of for me, is being able to, put my work out there and make it make sense on why I'm out here with my boots on the ground, dodging tear gas.
Fantastic.
Just say, Shedrick, real quick. One of the things people need to understand: black reporters, photographers, we are often sent on the firing line, as Shedrick said. When Anthony was there, we were worrying about him and praying for him. He was doing his job, but it's not an easy job. And some people look at it and they see the final product and say, "Oh, that's a fun. I want to do that. I want to be like Shedrick or Denise or Anthony." But there's a lot that goes into that, and over our careers, we often know that we may not get home in the same way, but we're doing our job. And that's what it's all about, telling truth to power, regardless of what you've got to face. So we're glad you are well, Shedrick, and I can't wait to be a part of the project with you. Thanks for the invite. Thank
you very much. If you want to RSVP to the event, you can check my website at www.s.p.media, SDOT.pdotmedia.com. We have an early reservation open. I appreciate, Denise, you having us on for sure, and Kevin as well.
Well, I'm a frustrated photographer, actually, Shedrick, and you talk about photographs. I've got a phone full of photographs that probably maybe somebody will see one day, but I always say I'm not the photographer. I always bow to individuals like yourself and Roy Lewis and Rob Roberts and all the great photographers I've worked with over the years, because they call themselves photographers or photojournalists. So if that's what they are, then I feel like they're the ones that should get the credit for the work that they're doing. And you're right, you document moments, and moments, photographs don't lie. Just looking right now at, I don't know how many of watching this ABC special last night, I guess, that they're showing as it relates to the Emmett Till, focusing on his mom and the death. But those photographs, the photographers were essential to make sure that story got told the way his mother, Mamie Till, wanted to tell it. And you all are critical in documenting the history for Black photographers, the history of our people. And so I thank you for doing that, and for doing this exhibit, and for sharing. So,
no problem. I do want to say, Denise, though, that your point of view with your phone is very important, as citizens, because, the young lady that documented the moment with Brother George Floyd, she was just a young girl out there with a cell phone,
right.
and she documented 9 minutes of one of the most pivotal moments in America at this point. And, so I'm thankful for, the everyday citizen that just has their cell phone out there doing that thing, because I can't be everywhere. Kevin can't be everywhere, and so that does matter. And we appreciate that part of it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all both for joining us. We'll see you at the exhibit, and we hope others will come as well. I'll see you before the exhibit, Kevin. But anyway, thank you so much, Shedrick, for sharing.
Wear your mask.
All righty. Yes. Thank you. He ended with a word of a health caution, which is very good. Thank you, Shedrick, talking about wear your mask. And, that's what we want to do to stay healthy in 2022. And Clarence Duhart, who's going to join us in a couple minutes after we show this video, has some other tips for us as well.
Get ready to work out with CD Fit. Join the largest and best fitness boot camp in the DC area. CD Fit High Performance Training. No workout is ever the same. Designed for all fitness levels, CD Fit provides hardcore, demanding training that is also fun. CD Fit. Fitness boot camps are available all over the DMV. CDFitDC.com. Push yourself to the peak. Right now, get an introductory 2-month trial for only $39. Go to CDFitDC.com to get started today.
I'm tired already.
I am also.
Welcome, Clarence. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Denise. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask my big question later, but I want to start off just asking you, this is the time of year when folks start making these resolutions and talking about, what they're going to do. They're going to lose weight. Give us the proper approach to being physically healthy. What's the proper approach?
Well, there's never really one way to achieve any goal. One of the things I tell everyone is that when you're starting any type of exercise program, or you have a goal to start any type of exercise program, is just get started. What a lot of people make the mistake is that they want to wait until a certain day or wait until take a particular class, is just to get out and get started. And what I usually tell people is to go out walking. To start walking every day. Don't procrastinate. Get out, start doing something. And then from there, don't just take the physical aspects of training. It's important to also feed your mind. So one of the things I always do, and what I recommend to a lot of my clients, is to immerse yourself in motivational material. So I like to listen to audio programs on motivation, because that's what's going to feed your spirit to help you to stay disciplined, to go out and exercise on a regular basis. And then from there, also start educating yourself. Because what most people do is that they just get started, but really don't have a depth knowledge of what they can do and what's available to them, or how to exercise properly and how to eat properly. Because you want to start reading books on nutrition, reading books on exercise, things of that nature. Because with exercise, a lot of people, where most people make the mistake is that you don't have the energy to actually exercise. It's good to start, but you have to make sure that you're fueling your body properly to have the energy to exercise. So you have to make sure you're sleeping properly. Sleep is critical because that helps you with your hormones. It helps you to make sure your body is regenerated and just has what it needs to get out and perform. Make sure that you're fueling yourselves, properly with fruit, as we had that discussion earlier. Fueling your body.
I'm not going to tell you what she's eating right now. So.
I can only imagine. So, that's funny. So giving yourself the things your body needs, fruit, healthy carbohydrates, healthy protein, healthy sources of fat, water, exactly, which is crucial. And so those are the main things, is get started right away. Feed your mind with motivational material like audio programs, and then start reading some good books on nutrition and how to fuel your body properly to exercise.
And you said make sure you take a walk every day. And I thought about that on Monday with that big snowstorm. Would you have encouraged people? It's another day, just go on out there and deal with it. Would that have been a good day? I mean, that wasn't an excuse day, was it?
No, that's an excellent day, because snow is so purifying. It's a great way to get out, get some fresh air, which most of us don't get enough of. We need that fresh air. Don't allow yourself to stay inside because it's snowing outside. Go out, get some fresh air. I saw a video the other day with Steve Harvey when he was out walking in the rainstorm, and it was amazing. It makes you feel so good to get outside. get some fresh air, go for a walk. That's if you don't know what to do. If you're a person and you're not already self-motivated and you don't know what to do, get out and just go walking, because everyone can do something. You can't say that you can't walk unless you have some type of debilitating issue, and that's a whole different, set of idea of what you need to be, what you need to be doing. But get out and do something. And the easiest thing that anyone can ever do is just go walk. Just go walking.
So how did you get into this fitness profession? What got you started, motivated, but more importantly, what got you wanting to share, your training with other people?
Interesting you say that. Well, I started exercising on regular back when I was 13 years old at the Boys and Girls Club, umpteen years ago, and just a way of making myself feel better and be stronger and things of that nature. And I just kept that habit up all the way through college. When I was at Howard, all of my college friends, I trained everyone for free. I never knew there was a fitness industry. I was a mathematics major. I trained in the gym, groups of people, 5, 10, 15 people at a time for many, many, many years. So even when I finished school, I still continue to train people for free. All of my friends will follow me to the gym. We work out outside, go running, basketball, weight training, things of that nature. Then around 1993, I had a colleague of mine by the name of Marcus Battle. Shout out to Marcus Battle. He introduced me to the fitness industry. And from that day forward, I just ran with it. So I've been training for about 28 years now. Worked at all the major health clubs, Bally Total Fitness, for those who remember Washington Sports Club, things of that nature.
I remember Bally's. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes. And I just had a serious love for helping people and fitness itself and having fun and using what God had gave me to pass on to other people. So I just ran with it from there. I started my company back in 2009, CD Fit, which is primarily an outdoor fitness boot camp. Our primary goal is to help people to develop the habits of daily rigorous exercise and help them to become the best athlete that they can possibly become. So I try to incorporate athletic type training modules and help people to develop that mindset of being an athlete wherever you are. If you're a couch potato, you're an elite athlete, or if you're a 69-year-old senior who just wants to, be prepared for, taking your retirement trips around the world. We develop programs that will allow you to do that wherever you are and at whatever point you are in your life.
Wonderful. And so where can people participate? It's cold out. Are you still doing training outdoors, or how can people participate in CD Fitness or CD Fit?
We're primarily an outdoor training program, which is actually very important now dealing with, this pandemic that we have right now. We're primarily outdoors most of the year, morning and evening classes. During the winter, we typically use indoor facilities, school gyms, recreation facilities, things of that nature. But since the pandemic, we elected to actually keep all of our classes outside. Well, most of our classes outside. So right now we have about 4 locations available in Georgetown, DC, Silver Spring, Maryland, and also Largo, Maryland. You go to our website, cdfitdc.com. You can learn more about our program, our success stories. We offer a 1-month free trial. So, that way we're really committed to actually helping people. So we're willing to actually allow people to come out, try it out for a month for free. There's no obligation. We also offer a 2-month trial through Groupon for those who want an extended trial. And then from there, you can also join on with the program as an actual member. We offer nutritional guidance. We teach people how to train properly, use proper exercise modalities, helping them to prevent injuries, things of that nature. And I'm big on education because that's the key, is to make sure that you're exercising properly and also help you to get the most out of your exercise program.
And the other thing too, Clarence, that a lot of people think because gyms are popping up in our neighborhoods now, much more so than they were. Bally's was one thing. Now we've got others that are everywhere. Costs are reasonable, affordable. Let me put it that way. But do you need a gym to become fit?
No, you don't need a gym. Gyms are great. Don't get me wrong. I love gyms. I do a little bit of everything, gyms, yoga programs, outdoor, but you do not actually need a gym. I tell people, like I said, the easiest thing you can do is to go walking. Is just go walking every day. listen to audio programs on motivation, programs like from Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, things that's going to really inspire you. And then from there, start educating yourself on what's available to you. So, from walking, then you can maybe start jogging. From jogging, you can maybe then start riding a bike. Then if you want to go to a gym, you can do that if you want to. You can do some yoga, hit a gym, do some weight room, do some classes, things of that nature. But it's up to you, how far you want to go with that. But the most important thing is to get started, and to get started today, not tomorrow, not next week, but today, and then from.
Wow. I hope he comes back because we have a couple of minutes left. But there you go. There you go. Because I was going to say we couldn't have ended if we had to end there on a better note, which is just daggone it. Started today. Start today.
Exactly.
Clarence, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing this. And we put the information up about how people can find you. We hope that folks will. Not just take the New Year as an opportunity to, to focus on fitness, but, to take just this stage in your life, and I like the fact that you said, from young people to, I don't know if you used over the hill or
no, I didn't use
whatever.
That. Don't get me in trouble, Denise.
I mean, when you said that, I felt welcomed. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for being with us. And I got to do this. Let me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, from no surprise.
Yeah, the person that said she was allergic to fruit.
Right.
Yeah.
Except for watermelon candy.
This is what she's been eating, leftover Christmas candy during your fitness conversation. So I think she's going to be giving you a call.
Yes,
she needs
should
to start today.
Thank you so much, Denise.
Thanks a lot for being with us. Have a happy New Year, and thanks for doing what you do to keep our communities in shape.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. All
righty. Have a good one. I'm sorry, Chevy. I had to do that. I just did. I know that was bad, but hey, who knows what folks are doing while they're watching the show. Hopefully they're watching the show, but we hope you're also maybe, lifting your weights or lifting your legs or something, just like you said, start today. So having said that, I want to thank you all so much for being with us for this edition of WIN TV. We will be back next Friday. We do have a new edition of What's Going On DC that's coming up next. And pretty soon we're going to have Sounds of the DMV coming back as well. So don't go away. Just keep watching. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a super safe weekend.
Happy New Year. Can we pop a bottle? Okay, here we go. Happy New Year. Welcome to another year of DMV live and full effect. We got so much for you. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's Going On DC. So as we are running everywhere to get COVID tests, with lines out of the ass like we are going to get Jordans, unfortunately, DC has been named the worst place for COVID-19 right now. So please stay inside and hide your kids, hide your wives. But no, seriously. Also beginning in March, all DC students, public and private, eligible for a vaccine must receive one. Child, if that worked, because the new IHU variant sounds quite scary. Rico Nasty asks a great question that makes me wonder, is my soda and water old? Take a look. Congratulations to Ari Lennox on earning her first solo entry on the Billboard Hot 100 chart with Pressure. Maryland joins Virginia and DC and raises its minimum wage, and I do mean minimum, from $11.75 to $12.50 for large employers, and $11.60 to $12.20 for small employers. DC's own Ant Glizzy declares he would be the biggest rapper he can be this year. And we here salute you, brother. Hey, great news, DMV. The OWN Network has just ordered a new season of Love and Marriage, this time the DMV edition, starring Monique Samuels from Real Housewives of Potomac and celebrity DJ, our beloved DJ Quicksilver, and his epic wife, Ashley Brittany. I am so ready to see this and see how our area is displayed on yet another epic platform. I see Oprah loves the DMV, huh? Draymond Green thinks DMV's own Kevin Durant's trash talking is top tier. Take a listen.
I think you started to realize it now with like the more he talks on Twitter or the more he's caught saying stuff to fans in the stands. KD, I've always told people like KD was one of the biggest trash talkers to me since I came into the league, and it would be like disrespectful stuff like, "Hey, who is this?" KD would turn the dude around like trying to look at the back of his jersey, like see his name on the back. Like K would say stuff to people, and you like, "Yo, you Kevin Durant." Like there's not really much I can say back. And KD got like these one-liners, like, "Oh, he drunk at the bar." Like K hit somebody with a cross. "Hey, he drunk at the bar." And so I think if I'm not going with myself, I would have to say KD for sure.
Well, DMV is epic at trash talking. You would get your feelings hurt here. A DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Y'all know. A DMV and future travelers here. Take a look at the 3D reality smart trips. I love it.
I'm so tired of playing love, roller coaster with you. My heart can take the drama you be putting me through. It goes up and down.
Hey, Virginia, please say y'all going to pull up to the light this year. Take a quick laugh.
Why I hate Virginia? Cause people don't know how to pull TF up to the line so I can get a green light.
Wow, take a look at this DMV rock brand, Breezy Supreme, take on Go-Go. I love that we have such diverse music here. Hey, Breezy Supreme, check out Sounds of the DMV. You may be on next. We bid adieu to the GOAT of radio here, the voice of the DMV, Angie Ange, who I get to call my big sis, has officially retired from radio to focus on her company, 38 Madison Media, which is doing epically well. Take a look at her Instagram post. Well, Ange, we here at The Bridge are extremely proud of you and thank you for fostering in a new league of greats like myself to follow in your epic footsteps. Lastly, shout out to our segment, What's Going On DC? We are nominated for a Whammy. Thank you for the nomination. Head over to the Whammy's Instagram and register and vote for us to be finalists. And huge thank you to Lafayette, the Washington Informer, and The Bridge for giving WGODC a new platform to spread its wings. It's been an amazing transition from radio to digital and print. I love it here. Well, see you next week. Hey, before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on this. And oh yeah, catch us online at wibridgedc.com and follow us on social media and hit the hashtag WGODC. Well, you know what to do. Get on now.